Hey, good morning, Neverland. Look what I got. For those who know, this is well, it's not a real one. It's just what do you call it? It's like a little charm. But if you know the reference, this is the Behelit of the King from Berserk. I know it's a manga, but I'm more familiar with the anime, the Golden Age arc. And there's a reason that I'm holding this up and everything like this. It has to do with today, what I'm going to talk about today. Very, very interesting. I might kind of display it sometimes. I don't know, hold it, play around with it. We'll see what happens. One of the things that I've been encountering over and over is being okay with being perceived as the villain. And so that's also what this is. I'll explain a little bit about this and both sides of the equation, because it's very interesting, very, very interesting. I think because to put a little background, if you're not familiar with Berserk, this is essentially the main antagonist's means of coming to power. This Behelit, and then I'm kind of spoilers alert if you want to see it. He doesn't start out as a villain in the manga. And in the anime as well, but it's more like he's a very driven personality, and it's one of those interesting things is that the characters were Guts and Griffith. Those are the two characters, and they play off of each other so well. Like the Golden Age arc is such a great story and everything. I know it gets more serious and more. It's crazy what happens. The betrayal that happens at the end is just so heartbreaking, you guys. So heartbreaking. And from my own perspective, it was Griffith's weakness. It was Griffith's weakness. He had been the strongest for this entire time, and then it's so funny because I can see the moment when he failed, and believe it or not, it was when he lost to the final duel with Guts. And he should have just let Guts go. But that was the thing, is that he had determined his entire reality upon being the superior one. And so when Guts was his equal, like his true equal, not like in spirit, because it wasn't about intellectually or strength or anything. This, it's a, what is it called? It's a metaphor. It's a symbol, right? All these duels and things, because Guts was so strong, man, so strong, and Griffith's super strong too, just in a different way. And so Griffith originally was able to best Guts, and like just over the course of the story and everything, Guts became more understanding of himself, and in the process he gained his power, and so he was able to match Griffith. And then that was the failure of Griffith, is that he didn't know he didn't have the tools. He didn't. If he had been truly strong, he would have let Guts go, and he would have been able to have the life that he had desired so much. But because he wasn't able to adjust or adapt to Guts becoming an equal, fucked him up, man. Just totally screwed him up. And so on that way, it's just like. So when I carry this for part of this, it's to remind me, and going even further than this, I'm kind of going into the story a bit more here, but it's like, this is just major spoilers, guys. In a nutshell, he does something he shouldn't do, and then all of his hard work that Griffith put into, because he was a peasant, and he basically became royalty almost. He may be even more, or just as prominent as royalty because of his skill, because of his tactics, his drive. And he threw it all away. He threw it all away in a moment. And in the process, he gets tortured. His physical frame is done, man. Guts finds out about this along with the rest of his friends, essentially, and they save him. But he's screwed up. He'll never be able to walk again. He'll never be the same again. And this shows the caliber of Griffith at that point. And this is to show that, to me, this shows where Griffith was actually at. And this is why I think people hate Griffith so much. It's because people have seen this, the camaraderie, how they protected each other, yada, 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 so forth and so on. And then this is what happens, is that Griffith had sacrificed his own dream because of his weakness, because he wanted to be in control. And so he lost it, man. And so with his broken frame, he was saved. He was saved from a life of complete torture by his friends, by his, essentially what became his family. And then this is what fucked everything up, you guys. He chose those people that loved him, that had supported him, that freed him from his own bad decision making. He sacrificed them. He sacrificed them completely. Now, I'm kind of down the middle, like as I always am about this, you guys, because that is a very interesting position to be in, and this is why I wanted to talk about people's villain era. I know that a lot of people, a lot of individuals, are going to make me out to be a villain, and that's up to them. That's up to them. They can see me as selfish. They can see me as whatever they're going to see me as. I know enough about reality that it's mostly a projection. They're projecting the shadow parts of themselves onto me, and that's how things work, you guys. As soon as people become kind of higher vibe, higher consciousness, you just resonate at a certain frequency, and it brings things to the surface. And so if there's things that people don't like about themselves, as someone who is integrated walks into their presence, those things which are not integrated are going to come rising to the surface. And then usually what happens is the person doesn't want to see that, and so they project it. You're the villain. There's something wrong with you. You're making me feel bad, and you could be doing nothing. You could just be standing there, not even thinking about them. Like that's essentially the situation a lot of the times. Not every time, but sometimes. So back on the subject, so back to where I was talking about originally. This is to remind me from the first part. This is to remind me that it was his choice to sacrifice those things. He chose himself. He chose his own power, his own, in my opinion, his false self, his ego, above what was true. Like not just once, but basically twice, and it cost him. It cost him a lot. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's just like he sacrificed everybody, you guys. It was brutal. It was fucking brutal. And it shows the type of personality he is. And at the same time, I'm going to come from the other angle with this as well, just like I was starting to allude to, which is people are going to villainize you when you're doing the right thing. And so that is just kit and caboodle. I don't know what else to say. It's something that I've just noticed more and more and more. And as someone who's climbing that ladder, or just becoming more aware, just becoming more conscious, it is a challenge to not retaliate, because people who are making you out to be the villain, the natural inclination is to make them the villain too, is to fight. And coming from that angle, it's basically lowering your vibration is kind of what it is, where it's just like you're perceiving their perception of you as the villain, and rather than being like, you're allowed to have your perspective, and it doesn't make it real, but I know it's your perspective, and usually it's just like, and chug off, bye, because that's where I'm at this point. I have very little tolerance for people who are not on the same path as me at this point. I can pass people and we can have conversations. I let the universe, I let the divine, guide me. Whoever's into my presence, whatever's going on. But with that said, yeah, I have very little tolerance at this point. I just, maybe I know my self-worth, maybe it's just where I'm at in my journey, you know, a lot of different factors. And so, also going back to this, on the other end of the spectrum, because paradox, reconciliation of the paradox, I got to remember, we all have the power. Like, this is one of those things that I've never understood, is that I feel like inherently, I know that I have a Behelit with me at every fucking moment of the time. Like, but this is why I'm carrying one with me right now, is because symbolically, we all have that power. That is the power of choice. And people don't understand this yet. Maybe people are starting to. And I alluded it to, I think, in yesterday's video, or maybe a few videos ago, where people look at the universe and they say, "Oh, I'm so insignificant. I'm so small," and that is such a lie. That is such a fundamental lie that I don't know how else to phrase it. Where it's just like this is why we each got a Behelit, you guys. We have the power of choice. All right. At any given moment, like I have disciplined myself to honor my word, to honor the agreements that I make, and to do everything that I can to see the situation in a way which is wholesome and good for us all. All right, that is a commitment. That is a commitment. All right, because there's plenty of temptations or things that are asking me, do you really believe this? Is this something that you really are for? Yes it is. It's evident in my words. It's evident in my actions. Probably not a perfect example of it, but it's my aim, and I'm continuing to do it, and I'm recoursing as I become more aware of any faults or inconsistencies I have in my patterns. Because it's a journey, you guys. It's a journey. And so, right, let's go back to this. We each have a Behelit. We're so powerful. And so when we, like, not using this is such a powerful choice, all right? Choosing not to sacrifice other people and our integrity for what we think that we want. Because that's what it is, essentially. What I see, and in my own headcanon, for the Berserk manga and everything, the Golden Age arc could have been a beautiful story. It really could have been. If Griffith had been able to let go of Guts, I believe Guts would have come back at some point in some capacity, and that Griffith and Guts could have been friends. And that's what Griffith needed in his life. Griffith needed somebody who was his equal. Like, not somebody who was below him, but someone who was his equal. And that's why he valued Guts so much. And that is why it hurt so much that after Guts proved himself to be an equal to Griffith, that Griffith couldn't take it. And that's Griffith's fault, man. That's his fault. And I know it's a story, and I know that the story had to go, and there had to be the betrayal because of how the manga's written and everything. So I get the story part. I get that part. But just in my own headcanon and everything, I really, part of me really admired Griffith because he was willing to sacrifice so much for what he believed, what he wanted, what his dream was. And I could be projecting my own stuff on there as well, onto Griffith. I want to be that level of strength. And then when push comes to shove, fuck this, man. And if people become my equal, excellent, let them. Perfect. You don't even have to be part of my group or anything. You can be. You probably wouldn't want to be. Like, that's usually how the situation goes. People who are, like, this is why community is so important to me. In me and my tribe, my soul tribe, my community, we're all equals. We have different capacities, purposes, but we're all equals, and we recognize that. And we're recognized for our talents, our individual, unique attributes, whatever you want to say. And then that's okay. And it's also okay to recognize where we're at. To me, that's almost the key factor of a good leader. A good leader recognizes the inherent equality in everyone that's basically under his guidance. Because I see that's what leaders are. It's guidance. It's not control. I'll probably talk about this in another video and stuff, but control is an illusion, you guys. There's no such thing as control. All we have is our choice. We make a choice, and then things happen. And we experience the consequences of our choices. And so, there's no control. There's control is an illusion. All right. Arguably, people could, semantically speaking, they could say choice is a form of control, but it's fundamentally different. Control has the attitude of this is why I say it's an illusion, that I can put forward something and it will always yield this result. There's only one absolute, so don't take everything with a grain of salt. But that's generally not true. That's just generally not true. From my experiences. Anyway, we can keep this short today. I know I always say that, and then I get off on another tangent. But just kind of getting back on the subject and everything. For people who are waking up like me, it's important to recognize that being perceived as the villain, choosing your evolution, your consciousness, your ascension, self-love, there's so many different words for it, but choosing your heart, choosing to follow your heart above what everybody else is telling you, or what the programming or indoctrination tells you, guess what? You're going to be made out to be a villain, all right? And my big premise is, water off a duck. Remember that we're all carrying Behelit. And when they project their shadow side onto you, this is your opportunity. They're using that Behelit at that moment. They're sacrificing you so that they can feel better about themselves. And it's not even real. It's not even real. That's the issue. When people make you to be a bad guy from their own bullshit, they're using the Behelit, all right? They're sacrificing you at the altar of their own mental, emotional mind so that they can pretend to feel better about themselves, it doesn't help in the long run. They have to keep finding scapegoats to blame that shadow side onto other people. And so it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. But in that process, when you're being made to be the villain, don't use it. Let them use it. Your guts, man. Remember that. You're an equal. You walk away from that shit. Let them see you as a villain. Let them cast their words, their swords, whatever. You're above that now. You've moved beyond that. That's why you're here. That's why you're here with me, right? Because we've moved beyond that. And that's where the strength is. Sometimes the strongest choice that we have is to choose to refrain, to choose to say no. Like, choice so much is not about saying yes, it's about saying no. And that's one of my big premises. If I live an alternate lifestyle from what most people would consider normal, it is for this reason, and this reason alone. We have choice, all right? We can say no. We can say no to anything, all right? I'm not going to get into it on this one, but I've said no to some pretty crazy stuff that theoretically I should be dead. I should be dead for the stuff that I said no to, but I'm not, which proves a point. Anybody, any one of us can say no, okay? And if that makes you a villain in other people's eyes, so be it. So be it. Take your Behelit, hold it in your hand, walk away. Say, not today, not today, lower nature, not today. And that's the best we can do. Because that's part of that issue too. This Behelit never goes away, you guys. It never goes away. Even when we choose every single day not to use it, it's still that choice. It gets easier. And so, okay, let me rephrase that. We get better at it. The choice never gets any easier, but we get better at making that choice. We get stronger is essentially what it is. Because that lower nature is always there. It's easy. And sometimes it's first instinct. Even now, like, I can, what is it called? I can make myself out to be all this enlightened person and everything, but I'm still basic, you guys. I'm just a basic guy. My first instinct is usually just like, there's something wrong with you. And that's how I know, I take a step back and I look at the situation as accurately as I can and see what's going on in myself before I start, making other people out to be villains. Because, they're doing their own thing. And the more, I would say truly villainous individuals out there, I don't need to make them a villain, man. They're already a villain in their own story. So, I don't need to go there. That's good, right? 20 minutes. Love you guys, man. I love you. Love making these videos. I was surprised. I actually lost track of time. I thought I was going to be out of here today, but I got a whole extra day. I got a whole extra day out of it because it's the 30th today. I thought yesterday was the 30th for some reason. So there we go. Anyways, so there you go, guys. Remember, hero, villain, those are kind of subjective terms. Remember who you are. Remember the truth. Love yourself, you guys. Take in a bunch of stories. You know, the paradox exists. Let's reconcile the paradox. All right, and that's the whole point. So love you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting me in my journey. It's very interesting with the YouTube stuff right now. I'm digging making these videos and being able to post them and everything. The numbers are not good right now. I don't care. I don't care. It's really something where this is feeding me something, you guys. I don't know if you can feel it or see it in me, in my eyes or energy or something, but I love doing this stuff. And so I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to do it as long as I can. And situations change. You know, I get banned from technology, I'll be doing this in person. So there we go. Yeah, beautiful day. I'll try to take more walks. Might get a GoPro. We'll see what's going on, guys. We'll see what's going on. Still got to pack up, get ready. I'll probably end up getting a storage unit. Yeah, I'll get it. I'll do another, right? We'll do another one, another video. This has been long enough. So, thank you, guys. Thank you. Peace out. Love within. All right. Catch you guys on the flip side.